Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A summer series from the great Peter Lorre. An episode of Mystery in the Air, which was sponsored by CAMELS, which we don't broadcast those commercials or even mention the name during the context of the show. The summer replacement series for, believe it or not, Abbott and Costello. This episode, based on the Guy de Maupassant story about Jack the Ripper, the Lodger, was originally broadcast August 17th, 1947. By the way, do you recognize who the announcer is on this show?
Mystery in the Air, starring Peter Lorre.
All right, men. I guess that's all. Put him on the stretcher and take him to the morgue.
Oh, must I stay, Inspector?
For a while, Mrs. Bunting.
Oh, dear.
I need all the details for my report.
Oh, that such a thing could have happened here. Here in my own house.
Each week at this hour, Peter Lorre brings us the excitement of the great stories of the strange and unusual, of dark and compelling masterpieces culled from the four corners of world literature. Tonight, The Lodger by Mrs. Belloc Lowndes. Peter Lorre is the Lodger, and Ellen Bunting is played by Miss Agnes Moorehead.
Mystery in the Air. Go on, Mrs. Bunting. You said you were looking for a lodger?
Yes, Inspector, we had to. But I never dreamed such a thing could happen here, to us. Why, it was only last Tuesday night my husband and I were sitting before our fire reading the newspaper about the latest murder. It was the theft by the Avenger. Yes, I remember saying distinctly, Robert, this Avenger person, you know, he could be the fellow standing next to you, or maybe the man you bump into. It's a terrible thought.
Yes, but it appears to me that the Avenger's too quick for the police.
And look here, it says this girl he got last night was like all the others, pretty blonde, and she'd just come from a music hall, exactly like all the rest of his victims. Oh, what a pity.
Ellen, have you stopped to think who fits that description perfectly? Our own Daisy.
Oh, shush, what a pretty thought, Bunting. It's a good thing she's with her aunt instead of here. London isn't a safe place for any girl now.
Just the same, I can't help thinking how fine it'd be to have her here with us.
Well, there's no sense even talking about it. We just can't afford it.
I know that, Ellen, but I hope we could manage it some way.
How? Haven't I scrimped myself half crazy trying to keep us going?
I know, Ellen. Well, don't you go worrying about it. I think we can...
Who do you suppose that could be?
Could it be someone looking for a room?
Oh, I wish it were. Then you could have your Daisy back. Well, I went to the front door, and when I opened it, there stood a man wearing a black cape and hat. He carried but a single piece of luggage. Good evening, sir.
I saw your sign. It says you have a room to rent.
Yes, sir. Please, won't you come in?
Thank you.
Could I take your cape, sir?
No, I'm looking for a quiet room. But it should be very quiet.
Oh, we have that, sir. Just that. Above all, our house is quiet.
Good.
Your bag, sir. May I take it?
No, just show me the room, please.
Oh, yes, sir. It's right up these stairs, sir. This way. You see, sir, there's just my husband and me here, and we're ever so quiet. I'm sure you'll find this room to your liking. Well, here we are.
Yes, I think I like this room.
Yes, it is pleasant, isn't it? There's not many rooms with such pretty pictures, now is there?
I don't know, pretty pictures interest me very little. What I like about this room is it's the simplicity. I like the bareness. Yes, I think I'll take it. What is your name?
Mrs. Bunting, sir.
All right, Mrs. Bunting, I'll take the room.
Oh, yes, sir. And please let me help you with your luggage.
No, don't you touch it.
Oh, but I only wished to help.
I know. You only wish to help, Mrs. Bunting. It's just, forgive me. It's just that I'm weary. I'm very tired. See, I do a lot of studying.
Oh, yes, of course, sir, of course.
Well, anyway, you can see how few things I need. It's just what's in this bag. But this here is my favorite book. It's the Bible. Good book, Mrs. Bunting, isn't it?
Oh, yes, indeed it is, sir.
Yes, it says, he brings them to their desired haven. Beautiful words, huh? And now at last I found my haven of rest. Now, Mrs. Bunting, if I pay you 30 shillings a week for this room, that's satisfactory?
30? Oh, why, yes, sir. That'll be quite all right.
My name is Sleuth.
Mr. Sleuth?
Yes, Sleuth. Sleuth. Think of a hound, Mrs. Bunting, and you'll never forget my name. And here are your 30 shillings.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Would you be wishing anything now? Supper, tea, or...
No, nothing. Good night, Miss Bunting.
Yes. Good night, sir.
Please stop that. You hear?
Oh, sir, what did I do?
You were humming. That's music.
Oh, but I...
Music is an instrument of sin.
Oh, yes, sir.
And you did tell me, Mrs. Bunting, that your house would be absolutely quiet.
Oh, but it is, sir. I didn't mean any harm. Believe me, sir.
I believe you. I'm sorry I spoke sharply. I know you. You're trying to be considerate and kind.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
By the way, Mrs. Bunting, I think I would like some bread and some tea.
Oh, certainly, sir. I'll have it in an instant.
So he took the room, eh, Ellen?
Yes.
He took the room at 30 shillings a week.
Yes, in advance. Oh, hurry now, Bunting. Is the water for the tea hot yet?
Yes, what a stroke.
Put the bread and the butter on the tray. I'll pour the water.
You know, Ellen, it's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
Do you realize what this means? We can have Daisy back with us now.
I know. Hurry with it now, hurry.
Why, we can have her back with us
now,
tomorrow.
There's the water and the tea, and I guess... Yes, it's all ready. Open the door, Bunting. I'll take it up to him right away.
There you go, old girl. First thing in the morning, I'm going to fetch Daisy and bring her home. Oh, it's a wonderful night, Ellen. Wonderful.
Oh, I mustn't do that.
And she has cast down many wounded from her. Yes, many strong men have been slain by her. Come in. And to know how the wickedness of folly...
Oh, why, Mr. Sleuth, you...
Yes? What is it?
Those pictures, those pretty girls, you've turned all their faces to the wall.
Yes, I've turned them to the wall because they are wicked and sinful.
Oh, but, sir,
Don't you agree, Mrs. Bunting, that everything wicked and sinful should be purged from the earth? Huh?
Yes. Oh, yes, I do.
I'm happy to hear that, Mrs. Bunting. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to leave.
Oh, but, sir, here's your tray.
Good night, Mrs. Bunting.
You know, for a moment, I was stiff with fear. I set the tray down. He hadn't so much as noticed the light supper I'd prepared for him and rushed to the window to watch. He came out of our cottage and moved off down the street, his black cape swirling about him. Finally, he was lost in the fog, and I don't know why, but I stared after him for a long, long while. Well, I did the dishes and got ready for bed. I lay there thinking, and it was almost dawn before I had convinced myself that at most he was a trifle odd. And after all, paying 30 shillings, maybe he had a right to his strange ways. It was daylight when I was suddenly awakened by the newsboys shouting in the street.
Horrible murder! Read all about it!
Murder at King's Cross last night! Avenger strikes again!
Slowly, I realized what the newsboys were shouting.
Horrible murder! Avenger took 6 victims!
Oh, no!
Avenger at work again! Another girl falls victim to a knife! Avenger strikes again!
In a few moments, Mr. Peter Lorre will bring us the climax of tonight's Mystery in the Air.
August 14th, 1947, Mystery in the Air on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. So why would Camels have Mystery in the Air, a horror show starring Peter Lorre, instead of a comedy if they were replacing Abbott and Costello? Because Abbott and Costello would not be returning in the fall. They would be over on ABC, so that's why. And by the way, have you figured out who the announcer is yet? August 14th, 1947, Peter Lorre, Mystery in the Air, The Lodger, August 14th, 1947.
As the inspector takes notes of the terrifying event, Ellen Bunting continues the story.
And now, Mrs. Bunting, what did you do the morning you learned the Avenger had murdered his 6th victim?
Well, I was a little frightened to meet our lodger, yet I kept my thoughts to myself. After all, you know, there still wasn't much to go on. Robert had gone to make Daisy, so Mr. Sleuth ate breakfast alone. I watched him through the crack in the door. Finally, I went in with more tea.
Tea? No. No, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bunting. I don't care for any more tea, thanks. You're very kind. But I have to go on with my work now, if you'll excuse me.
My fear really changed to pity then. Oh, he seemed so helpless and tired. And he was so considerate. This man couldn't be a murderer. It was all a coincidence. Besides, we just couldn't afford to lose that 30 shillings a week. Well, around 10 in the morning, he left the cottage, and I decided to go upstairs and have a look about his room. I had to find out what he carried in his one piece of luggage. It wasn't a bag. It was more like a case. Yes, a case. A case for a knife. I rushed upstairs, my heart beating wildly at the thought I'd had of the case. No, there wasn't anything in his closet. I went over to the chest of drawers against the wall. Nothing in the top one. In the next one, there was just some socks and some underclothes. The next one was empty. There was only one other place for the small, narrow case. The bottom drawer. And it was locked. I pulled and pulled at it. And then suddenly I heard the front door open downstairs. In a panic, I rushed out of the room and down the hall.
Oh, you're upstairs, Ellen. Look, Ellen, Daisy's here.
Oh, thank heaven.
Oh, Mother, it's so good to see you. It's so good to be home. Why, whatever's the matter?
Yes, you're quite white, Ellen.
Oh, I'm all right. It's just that I wasn't expecting you so soon.
Well, it's good to be back. The country's all right, but there's nothing like London now, is there?
Oh, no. No, there isn't.
Well, as long as that Avenger's about, you're going to have something to do to keep this young lady indoors, London or no London.
Oh, don't you worry. Mother will see to that.
Oh, well, Daisy, I might as well get you settled.
You see, Father? What did I tell you? She'll have a dust cloth in my hand before I have my coat on.
Mr. Sleuth.
Why is my door open?
We were just leaving, sir.
Have you been in my room?
Not at all, sir.
From now on, Mrs. Bunting, I shall keep my room locked.
But you see, sir, I was just tidying up a bit, and Mr. Bunting, he brought our daughter home. She just arrived. This is Daisy.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
She's been away for quite a while. That's why we're a bit excited, you might say.
Yes.
You were probably surprised to hear us laughing and carrying on.
Yes, I must say I was, but then there are different kinds of joy, are there not, Daisy?
Yes, I'm sure there are.
Yes. There is the despicable, evil joy of the abandoned, and then there is the divine happiness of the blessed. That's a great difference. You understand that, Daisy, don't you?
Why, yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Sleuth.
Good. There are so few young women nowadays who do.
I'm Mr. Sleuth. You mean a girl's not to enjoy life at all? Not to have any fun?
Enjoyment and fun, my child, are a devil's breeding ground. All his implements are there. Pleasure and impropriety. The temptation of music, dancing.
Oh, that's crazy. Why, there's nothing I like better than dancing. And I'm not...
You like to dance?
She didn't know what she was saying, Mr. Sleuth. She's just a child. Daisy, you know you've never been one for dancing. You never learned how
But I did learn, Mother. While I was away. What's so wrong about it? What's the harm in dancing?
It says she lies in wait as for a prey and increases the transgressors among men.
I don't know what you mean. I've never heard such nonsense.
Nonsense? You call it scripture nonsense?
Daisy, go into the front room.
It's all right, Mrs. Bunting. It's all right. I'm used to that kind of talk. Good day.
Daisy. Yes. Daisy, listen to me.
What, Mother?
I've got to tell you about...
About what?
Oh, nothing. I've got to go out for a while now. I'll be back. For a moment, I was about to tell her my awful suspicions, but I stopped. They were only suspicions. At the same time, I had a thought. I'd go to the coroner's inquest they were having for the Avenger's latest victim. I was hoping to hear something said that would clear my suspicions of the lodger. At least I'd give him this last chance. A lady was testifying as I took my seat. She'd seen the Avenger from her window, she said, and her description of him didn't tally with Mr. Sleuth at all. Oh, I can't tell you how relieved I was. Till it was pointed out she couldn't possibly have seen anyone that night from her window because of the fog. Then the next witness was a Mr. Cannot. I leaned forward anxiously as they swore him in and began asking questions.
You say, Mr. Tennant, you're positive that you saw this man?
Positive, sir. It was only a few moments before the murder that I saw the Avenger.
Describe him.
Well, he wore a black cape, I believe, and was very gaunt-looking, and was carrying a small handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, a small, narrow handbag, such a one as might contain a knife.
Silence in the court. Proceed, Mr. Tennant.
Well, he had a low, hesitating voice. I'd say with something of a continental accent. An educated man, I'd judge, but quite mad.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, as he emerged from the fog, he was talking aloud to himself. Oh, believe me, sir, he was reciting scriptures from the Bible.
Oh, no, it can't be. It can't be. Could there be any doubt about it now? Mr. Sleuth, our lodger, he was the murderer. I got out of the courtroom as quickly as I could. I didn't even notice it had started to rain. I hardly remember going home, running and walking somehow, while the nightmare of fear and terror grew bigger and bigger inside me. It was 3 streets from our cottage that I saw my husband, Robert. One thought hit me clearly. I realized Daisy must be home alone with the Avenger. Bunting! Bunting!
Why, Ellen, what is it?
Bunting, where's Daisy? Where is she? Where's Daisy?
Why, she's at home.
Oh, listen, Bunting, listen. Sleuth is the Avenger.
What?
And the conclusion of The Lodger, an episode of Mystery in the Air, August 14th, 1947, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues.
Whether you're taking your pets on the road or a walk around the block, you need to be aware of heat stroke. Hi, I am Dr. Jose Arce, immediate past president of the American Veterinary Medical Association. It's important that pets get out and enjoy the warm weather and fresh air, but here are some reminders to help keep your pets safe in the heat. Tune into the day's forecast to see how hot it will be. Limit exercise on hot days or schedule walks earlier or later on the day when it's cooler. If outside, stay on the grass instead of the hot pavement. Make sure your pet has unlimited fresh water and access to shade. Never leave your pet in a closed vehicle, and leave your pet at home in air conditioning when you go out. If you see signs of heat strokes in your pet, such as excessive panting, drooling, unsteadiness, or abnormal gum and tongue color, call your veterinarian or nearest emergency clinic. For more info on summer pet safety, visit avma.org. That's avma.org.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Lodger, an episode of Mystery in the Air starring Peter Lorre, August 14th, 1947.
What are you saying?
Our lodger, he's the Avenger. Daisy's alone with him right now. Hurry, hurry.
Now listen to me carefully, my child, and rejoice with me in your heart, for the moment is at hand, and you're not afraid, Daisy, are you?
No, I'm not afraid.
You're very beautiful, and you should live in the ways of righteousness. You hear me, Daisy? You want to live in the ways of righteousness, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I know you do. I know, and that is why I've been sent to purge your soul, so that you will be elevated beyond all sin and evil. You like to dance, Daisy, don't you? Already 6 have gone on before you, and they are beyond all sin and evil. You are the 7th to be elevated, my child, and my work is almost done for the 7th. I've promised at this appointed hour. Be still, Daisy. And don't listen to the temptations of the crowd when they call out your name, because I am here to save you from all evil and wickedness that consumes you like a wildfire of scarlet and crimson. You like to dance, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Look at me, my child. Look at me, and don't fear me, and do not tremble. Woe to them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness. And therefore I must bring you down like the lamb to slaughter. And now I lift my hand with a flaming sword, for now comes the vengeance and the time to rejoice.
Stop it, you killer Daisy, come here.
Drop that knife, you fiend!
Oh,
Drop that knife!
Oh, you're safe. You're safe. Oh,
Drop that knife, you!
Take away your hands. Let go of me. Get away! Oh. Don't you know that such that are for death to death, and such that are for the sword to the sword, and no one dare to have pity on them. Here.
His knife!
Oh, mercy. Oh, he fell on the knife.
Yes, and it's burning. It's burning in me like a fire. Oh, it purges me and consumes me. All sin and evil are falling away. Praise and glory, for it is I who is the seventh. Yes, the vengeance is fulfilled.
Listen again next week at this same time with Mr. Peter Lorre in Mystery in the Air. Next week's play will be The Horla by de Maupassant. The artists supporting Mr. Lorre tonight were Agnes Moorehead as Ellen, Henry Morgan as the voice of mystery, Barbara Eiler as Daisy, Eric Snowden as Bunting, Raymond Lawrence as the inspector, Rolf Sedan as the witness, and Conrad Binion as the newsboy. And on behalf of Mr. Lorre and the entire cast, our sincere thanks to Agnes Moorehead for her great portrayal of Ellen Bunting.
Yes, one of the announcers on the program was, in fact, Henry Morgan. No, not the comedian. Because, you see, this Henry Morgan would end up changing his name to Harry Morgan. Dragnet and MASH, Colonel Potter. From August 14, 1947... Mystery in the Air on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 2 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Crystal Lake Cabin Matter, from August 14th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
It's Garrett, Johnny, Sheriff's Office. You can quit looking for Edward Russell. We found him.
Well, that's good news.
Is it? He's dead.
What?
Yeah, been dead for 3 or 4 days.
Where'd you find him?
In a cabin on the other side of the lake. Your hunch was good.
And expensive.
What do you mean?
It'll cost the company I represent a cool $50,000.
Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Amalgamated Life Associates, Home Office, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Crystal Lake Matter. Expense account continued. Item 3, $2.55. Telegram to Tom Wilkins of Amalgamated Life Associates notifying him of Edward Russell's murder. I was reasonably sure the telegram wouldn't make Tom sleep any easier. I headed for the office of Ansel Garrett, deputy sheriff in charge of the Crystal Lake substation.
Sit down. Not good, huh, Johnny?
No, not good. Not good at all. Who found the body, Ants?
A fellow named Bixby's waiting next door. I figured you'd want to talk to him.
Thanks, I do.
First, though, I'd like you to run over what you know about this deal again for me. I want to know just where we stand in it. People at this resort pay a lot of money for peace and quiet. I don't want to disturb it any more than I can help.
Good luck.
Meaning?
Meaning if you know where you stand in this deal, you're a lot better off than I am, and I've got a strong hunch a lot of peace and quiet's going to get disturbed before it's wound up.
I don't like your hunches, Johnny. You got a way of proving out. Like the one about Russell being dead. I suppose you give me the rundown.
Okay. And I can make it short because there's not much to tell. The company I represent holds a $50,000 policy on Russell. About a week ago, he disappeared.
His wife filed a missing persons report?
Yeah, Leona Russell over in Denver. She said her husband had told her he was going on an overnight business trip to Boulder. He never came back. His car was found in a garage in Colorado Springs.
His wife couldn't account for it?
No. She said she was completely in the dark.
I take it she's his beneficiary.
Oh, yeah, sure. I thought of that, too. I asked her about it.
What kind of an answer did you get?
Tears, mostly. And a pretty withering look. Either she's completely clean or she's one of the best actresses I've ever seen. The rest of the story you told me. How Russell came into your offices several days ago looking for a guy named Bill, last name and description unknown.
You know, like I said, there's a flock of Bills in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, no. The bartender, the man who runs the boathouse, a clerk in the hardware store, a few assorted others.
I told you I saw Russell having a drink with Betty Norton the same night he came to see me. You check her out?
Yeah. I had to go swimming with her in that sub-zero lake before she'd answer any questions, though. Then what I got from her was nothing. She said she'd met Russell at the hotel, had a drink with him, then left.
That's all you've got, huh?
That's it.
Well, that's precious little to go on. I'll let you talk to Mr. Bixby. Oh, Mr. Bixby, would you step in here, please? This is Johnny Dollar, insurance investigator. Mr. Clarence Bixby.
Hi.
How are you?
Not too good at the moment.
You got troubles. Where's my cabin the body was in?
Oh?
The padlock had been changed, Johnny. Here it is. No fingerprints other than Bixby's.
I monkeyed with it for a while until I realized my key wouldn't fit, and then I pried it open with a big screwdriver.
Mr. Bixby, would you mind showing me your cabin and just what happened?
I guess not. Doesn't matter much now, anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, I was going to show the cabin to a guy when we found the body. He wanted to buy the place. But who'd want to buy it now?
Bixby and I drove halfway around the lake. His cabin was a couple of 100 feet from the edge and had a good view of the water. Well, nice spot here, Bixby.
It was.
You used the cabin much?
I haven't been able to regularly for the last couple of years. I got to figuring why I keep on paying for taxes and upkeep on it. So I decided to sell it.
Did you advertise it in the papers?
I did. First crack out of the box, I got a hot prospect.
He's the one you brought up here to show the cabin to.
That's right. His name's Putnam.
Putnam. I'd like to talk to him.
He'll be staying at the hotel. Probably looking for another cabin to buy. Here we are.
Well, let's see. This is where the padlock was, huh?
That was the first thing I noticed, that the padlock had been changed. The one I had on there was better.
Whoever did it probably pried the first one off.
Yeah, right here is where I pried off the lock this morning.
Mm-hmm. Then what?
And I opened the door. The body was on the floor right over here. Bullet hole in the forehead.
I see.
Putnam turned green, and well, that's not a very pretty sight to find in your own cabin.
No. Well, let's go sit outside. The dead man, Edward Russell. Did you happen to know him, Bixby?
No. Never set eyes on him before. Why did they have to pick my cabin?
That's a good question. Hey, that cabin about 100 yards away, who lives there?
Oh, that one? Owned by the Butler family. They spend their summers up here.
Oh, maybe they saw or heard something.
No, Deputy Sheriff questioned them. They arrived here 3 days ago. He figured that was the morning after the killing.
I see.
Have a cigar?
No thanks.
What does it add up to, Dollar?
Well, at the moment, Mr. Bixby, not much. I sat there and watched Bixby tie his cellophane cigar wrapper into a neat little knot. And I realized that was exactly my situation at the moment. The whole deal was a knot, and I didn't know how to untie it. I went back to the hotel. Item 4 on expense account, $1.75. Telephone call to the dead man's wife, Leona Russell, over in Denver.
It was very considerate of you to telephone, Mr. Dollar. The authorities notified me of what happened. They want me to come up there and confirm the identification.
I see.
You don't think it could be somebody else?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Russell. I'm afraid not.
I guess I'd really given up hoping. All the time I was trying to tell myself he was alive, but...
Yes. Look, Mrs. Russell, have you ever heard of a man named Clarence Bixby?
Bixby? No.
Your husband was found in Bixby's cabin. Did you ever hear him mention the name?
No.
Okay. Thanks anyway. I'll keep in touch. I hung up and sat there a moment, thinking her over. She stood to benefit to the tune of $50,000 by her husband's death. She seemed on the up and up, and yet... Expense account item 5, another call to Denver, to the police department. I wanted them to check on her, but I found out that they and Ansel Garrett, working together, were a couple of jumps ahead of me. They'd already checked on Leona and established the fact that at the time of her husband's murder here at Crystal Lake, she'd been in Denver. I decided to look up Putnam, the man who'd wanted to buy Russell's cabin. I found him in the bar at the hotel.
Yes, I tell you, it was quite a shock, Mr. Dollar. When Bixby opened his cabin door, the body sprawled there in front of us. Yes, quite a shock.
Yeah. How come you decided to buy Bixby's cabin, Mr. Putnam?
Well, my wife and I'd been on the lookout for a cabin for some time. When I saw Bixby's ad in the paper, it sounded like just the sort of place I was looking for.
I see.
So I answered the ad, made the arrangements with Bixby to come up here and have him show me the place.
Mm-hmm. You still interested in buying a cabin up here?
Well, possibly. I've always wanted a place where I can come for rest now and then, but after what's happened, I don't think I'd be too happy in Bixby's place.
Mr. Putnam, the dead man's name was Edward Russell. Did you happen to know him?
Of course not. Why?
Ever hear of him before?
See here, Mr. Dollar, what is your reason for asking questions like that? Surely you don't think I'm involved in this?
No, routine, Mr. Putnam.
Well, I don't care for the routine, Mr. Dollar.
Well, look, I was... Skip it. See you later, Putnam. What pulled me into action was a glimpse I caught of the bartender. I started remembering a few things. Number 1, Edward Russell had been looking for a guy named Bill. Number 2, the bartender was one of several guys by that name here at Crystal Lake. Number 3, something I saw on the bartender's face made me think he could be the Bill that Russell been looking for. I left Putnam's table and slid onto a stool at the bar.
Hi.
Hi.
What'll it be?
Is that I.W. Harper there?
Yeah.
And soda.
Coming up.
Sort of quiet this evening, huh?
Yeah. Been a little slack this season so far. I imagine it'll pick up later on this summer. Here you are.
Thanks. Must have been quite a fight.
Come again?
You're wearing what looks like the tail end of a black eye.
Oh, yeah, that. No, I bent down to pick up a bottle of mix the other day, and I bumped my face on the corner of the bar.
You're, sure that's the way it happened, huh?
Where you getting at, pal?
Better take a look at my card.
Insurance investigator?
Yeah. A guy named Edward Russell was in here a few nights ago with Betty Norton. He was looking for someone named Bill. By some strange coincidence, your name is Bill. And by an even stranger coincidence, you've got a black eye.
Okay, Dollar. So Russell did give me the black eye. I traded him a split lip for it.
What happened?
I still haven't figured it out. He was in here drinking. He started talking to Miss Norton. She called me by my first name, and suddenly this Russell heats up. He comes up to me and starts asking me a bunch of questions.
What kind of questions?
Well, mainly had I ever lived in Denver. I told him no, but he didn't seem to believe me. Got pretty insulting, and we ended up outside. He pasted me first, and I let him have one. Then I spotted the hotel manager and broke it off. They left right after that.
Well, why the cover-up about hitting your face on the bar?
Are you kidding? Look, how long do you think a bartender will last in a hotel like this if the management knew he got in a fight with a customer?
Particularly if the customer winds up dead, huh?
Yeah, I heard about the killing this afternoon. Tough, but I must say that guy was asking for trouble. I don't know what was eating him, but something sure was.
You didn't see him after that night?
No. Check on me if you want.
Oh, don't worry, I will. Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
You said something a minute ago that just rang a bell. You said they left together after the fight. Who's they?
Russell and Miss Norton.
You sure about that? You sure she was with him when he left?
Sure, I'm sure. You don't miss any tricks about a guy like that. Hey, look. If she told you different, I don't want to get nobody in trouble.
That's where you and I differ, Bill. There's one person I want to get in trouble real bad.
Who?
The person who killed Russell. And right now, Betty Norton looked like an interesting possibility. I went outside and started walking along the lakeshore in the moonlight, thinking about it. She told me she'd left alone after one drink with Russell. But according to the bartender, she'd lied. She and Russell had left together. The motive stumped me, though. As far as I could figure, Leona Russell was the only one who could profit by her husband's death. Yet she didn't kill him. But Betty Norton, the girl who always had to play everything her way, I decided to have another talk with her and turned to go back to the hotel. Then I stopped. Out of the corner of my eye, I'd seen a movement near a tree on the slope above me. A shadow where there shouldn't have been a shadow. I scrambled up the slope, but there was nobody in sight. So somebody was keeping an eye on me. Somebody who knew this area pretty well. A nasty thought started pecking away at me. To wit, in getting closer to Russell's killer, I might be getting closer to something else, too. A bullet.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a girl who lied and a padlock that didn't. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
August 14th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank this station to support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we appear here on your favorite radio station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. Our shows are always available on demand at the webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there and find our social media links. There's a list of the podcast applications where our shows are available as well. And always when you go there, download the shows, please rate them highly, like them, and give them 5 stars if you can. And if you like what we do on our webpage, classicradio.stream, you can buy me a coffee. That'll help us add additional great programs for our lineups here. That's at classicradio.stream. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.